Well, hello there, everyone. As I turn down Marvin Gaye, who, dig that soulful beat. So, welcome, everyone. So good to see everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is Tuesday, and this is a second look. And if you find yourself here, you're at the right place. Know that the universe is listening to you and that you're being guided according. And you may not think it's actually the life path, but you chose, but yet it is. And so if you desire change, well, just change your frequency and you'll be on another path. So welcome. This is again a second look. You know me and then my lovely co-host, Miss Trina. How are you, dear? You back from the sickness?
Yes, what a ride. And I'm feeling better, still a little congested, but feeling 100%. Energy's back and feeling great.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good, good. Well, we missed you and
I missed you
uh
too. I was not
yeah.
well.
Yeah, and last week it was a solo show, but hey, we can do that.
Yeah, you
Uh
did well.
Yeah, like, gee, let's imagine that. And I just want to say thank you, Rage Against the Machine. How are you, Jackie? Good to see you, Jules. It must be like 4 o'clock in the morning down there.
Oh,
Julianne Margaret is on Flight Risk. I see you that you out, Gaia. Good to see you and Paul and Deborah and Miriam and Emperor Rex as I see everything going. I want to say thank you to this group of men and women. I mean, this is a fellow, Linda Espinoza, Joe Mack. I want to thank you because now Jenny's not here because she just hasn't, she actually picked up a new laptop, which Trina, this group gave way beyond what I thought. Go, how are you doing? Good to see you. Um, that was enough to get apparently a real laptop, a real step up. So I want to thank all of you um, for those who, felt the unction. Thank you for following through. I know Jenny next week will express it as well, but we just want to say thank you all because we can't do everything for everybody yet. But
yeah,
Trina, we can certainly help out
well,
those.
you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And this was a case of that. So thank you all. Much love to you. And thank you all for the good energy because it all goes hand in hand, Trina. It does.
It
Yeah,
really does.
it
Paying
does.
it forward in the circle of love between this tribe, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And they, by far, and I see, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, but in the groups that I do see, I say this one's the most loving. It
Yeah,
really is. I just,
yeah,
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 just
the chat
amazing.
is amazing, amazing, amazing. I see on so many other forums, and wow, you guys are just truly
Yeah.
intelligent, kind, open-minded, non-judgmental, beautiful, beautiful people. So, wow, thank you for being in my world.
Y'all just rock our world is what she's trying to say.
Yeah, for real.
Jackie, how you doing, darling? Mary wins. Much love to you, sweetie. There's Deborah Sloan. I mean, and it's cold out there, folks. Nina, how you doing, darling? Paul Joe, Colt AV. I guess you can say that. So lots of things going on, Trina. The world. Hey, F Kitty, good to see you. So, the big thing is Devos. This is the year the elite come together. And the thing about Devos is that they don't hide it. If you want to know what the agenda is, look and see what's going on over there, because that is the plan, the script. And so apparently, the big thing is, and it's interesting, I watched some of the panel discussion and I'm sitting there going, what the F? I
Yep.
mean, what the F? And because here it is, this distinguished panel. you know.
Mhm.
It's like a who's who in, the, let's say, the system. Actually, when I look at them, I'm thinking, I say, am I looking at the Matrix? Is that Mr. Smith I'm seeing in all these characters? But the big thing is disease X.
Mhm.
And I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but I have an idea. We've covered a lot of material here
Yeah.
that, showed 20 years ago that
Mhm.
this was in the pipeline. But apparently, disease X, according to the panel at Devos, because they said the second biggest problem, and I went, really, is misinformation. That's it. We're going to see stuff coming out of this. But anyway, so Trina, according to the panel, now they don't know where this will come from. There apparently isn't anything that they can nail down, say, point to, but this is apparently something that the world order, the leaders of the world are beginning to plan for.
Mhm.
And so as above, so below as above.
Mhm.
Now, in my thinking, I'm going, okay, so if they're channeling this, then is this humans doing this? Is this
Mhm.
a supernatural being or
Oh,
beings,
mhm. I think so.
aliens? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Because the panel said, and when they said this about the potential mortality rate of
Uh-huh.
this,
Uh-huh.
I thought this is damn odd because this is the Deagle report.
I know. I thought the same thing. That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, this
What?
is the one they're planning on.
I mean, the numbers they were talking about. I
Yeah,
mean,
apparently, they've got a lab in Long Island. They're already working on, a new Jabadoo. So, yeah. So how
I
could
don't
they?
know about that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it was
can't
just
confirm that,
me neither. But they
you
are
know.
talking about it, and they even showed it was on mainstream news. Mainstream.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was
I
on
haven't
mainstream.
seen it, but I do know that if you want to go see, because everything is monitored today. I mean,
Yeah.
you really is. The bots are out there and they're listening. AI is
It
everywhere.
just, the curiosity was, the last one was said it was going to happen and it did. And now they're saying this one's going to happen. Wow. I don't know how we can prevent that. That's what I was like, wow, is there
I
a
don't know.
shot?
They're talking about in the fact that, that this would spread rapidly. Once it was detected, that it would be almost virtually impossible in order to contain it. Then that was some of the discussion is to, well, this is inevitability. So what do we do?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this whole script. I really don't. You
I
know.
don't, yeah, there's so much going on worldwide right now. And it looks like it seems like the powers that be are against humanity at the moment. So
So is
hopefully that's
there a
wrong.
plan in the spirit realm? You see,
I
when I
think
hear
so.
things like this, years, decades ago, when 9/11 happened, I was heavily indoctrinated into Christianity, and I was at a conference, and I remember Kenneth Copeland specifically. He said, these things cannot manifest in this world unless they had manifested already in the spirit realm. Now, I look back now and this cat really had some insight. So this would imply, Trina, that there's absolute chaos in the ethereal realm.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
really do.
mean, and
Mhm.
and and, and I'm thinking about this and I'm going, if there's chaos up there, there's chaos. Where do we go?
Well, when I look at up there, that's the weirdest thing that I've been seeing lately. When I look at up there, I think those are futures. And when I'm seeing on this playing field, these the different potentials that the reality can go down. There's multiple streams that we can travel here, at least 16 that I can see. So, and I see below going backwards, literally in time potentials and stuff. So I'm seeing the layers of time being a strong either it can be an opponent or a deficit. So if we're able to look at the potential futures, I think we can truly have an effect on that. And I do think that it's affecting the upper worlds because I've always seen that a lot of the alien stuff, where they keep taking genetics and stuff, we can't prove any of this. It's all conjecture. But if it's a DNA thing that they're trying to restore something that went wrong. So it looks like they're trying to have a correction. So we'll see how that goes because I just don't know because this does seem like this is about things changing from what they were into something new that we're not prepared or capable to possibly handle.
You know, it's interesting because you see, I came from the paradigm that there was only this God, and from this God, who was perfect, omnipotent, omnipresent, omnipotent, and cannot lie, do no wrong, is the definition of the spiritual perception of perfection. And yet there was this war that ensued apparently before we were even thought of. And we're living in the result of that conflict. Now, today, I look at this, uh, I don't buy into the structure, but the problem is that we as humans, we have created this structure now. And I do believe that it does exist because taking your words just a minute ago, so what I heard you saying is that mortals have the ability to impact the future of the spirit realm.
Yeah. I think that's why it's so important to take on physical body. And I think that's maybe why we come into them to affect timelines and potentials with your information, your wisdom, the potential that you'll awaken in the matrix and see what's going on and participate with your light and help to
And
bring
then what we're saying then, and I guess as well, is that what we're saying is that time dominates that dimension as well as this one. It must because
yes.
um, in Bible school we were shown that in the Bible there are two different timelines.
Hmm.
And the point is that if we perceive the passing of days, and it apparently is the same up there, except that it is, if you read it, apparently a day is 1,000 years to us. So you can see the time dilation, distortion. Now,
Yes.
today I hear that, and my mind, my spirit immediately shows me there's this barrier. And this barrier is, how these different realms are working. They're in synchronicity, but yet they're very out of sync.
Yeah.
I mean, if the spirit realm is 1,000 years to us, and in that realm it's a single day,
Yeah.
wow, think about it.
I
And then I
think
always go ahead, hon.
I think about that a lot, and I've been asking about that for a while. Help me understand the time dilations between the dimensions. That was my question. Help me
Yeah.
understand the time dilation between dimensions. And they showed me the chakras, and they showed me the planets, and they showed me that each one is operating on a different timeline based on how far away they are from the central sun in, our sun, which is not the galactic central sun, but in this solar system, how far we are away from the sun dictates the time. That's what they were showing me. I have no way to validate that, but I
Hmm.
have a feeling I'm onto something. So I think each different realm has different laws of time operating within them until you get to a certain level, like in the crown. And that's when one day would be as to 1,000 years for us, because there is no time in the highest consciousness streams that we can access in the human body. So once you're into the highest realm of your consciousness, time changes there immediately for you. So you're
Someone in the
in
chat room
timeless
says
state.
that there is no time on the other side.
There,
Everyone has their
there
point of
is.
view, but there is. I mean, my perspective it is. I was taught that there always was, and
Yeah.
even prophecy validates that there is some form of time on the other side. Because I guess then the question is God a human or not? And then getting to this whole time thing, because again, I came from it, and my upbringing was from a, Judeo-Christian perspective, and the Bible was the only thing that really counted, right? And creation itself was measured out in a day. Well, we don't know what that word is actually epoch. And
Right.
we don't know what an
Yeah.
epoch can be short or an epoch can be really long.
It's a span of time, but we don't know
It
the
is.
limit.
It's
Yeah,
a
we don't know where it's
undefined time. So I've often thought this, and I can remember spending hours praying in tongues, thinking about this. Then
going.
what time is it? And I used to, because the other side to me was heaven.
Yeah,
It was a split paradigm, but
yeah,
for me, it was heaven.
yeah,
And I'm trying to think then, because the modern theology is that, well, on the seventh day, God rested. You got to ask yourself, why would a God need rest to begin with? But, not getting down to the minutia. But anyway, so if that's the case, then you could technically say that the universe is really less than 10,000 years old. According to what they wrote. I didn't write it, but
You
of
know,
course,
I wonder if that's why they do say that, this is only 7,000 years old, and it would be the seventh cycle, and that, there's could be a lot of truth to that because we're sitting on the earth dimension. So that could be true. But we
yeah.
look at history and the evidence of the history. Some of this stuff seems a lot older than 6,000 years, 7,000 years. So I don't know that we know. But all I do know is I do know that time is going to be different depending on where you're at in the construct, because they're showing me the laws of physics are different. I think even just as a potential, if there was more earth on this plane of existence we're existing on right now, more land that we were unaware of, I think the boundaries between those would be even different with time. Time would appear maybe different. I can see it even happening in our immediate locations where time could alter through the laws of
I,
physics.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've experienced that. I've taken enough LSD, that in some of the LSD that I took was pretty potent,
Mhm.
well over 500 mics, and you experience a time dilation, a time distortion, because, for instance, I can put my hand up and I can see just a continuous motion. When you're
Mhm.
really stoned on a hallucinogenic, that slows down because I can see each move that my hand, and we called it tracing, that
Yeah,
you can actually see it. There is a time dilation and distortion between my eyes, that what I'm seeing and what my brain is processing, but yet I'm in this physicality of a light. We get the same effect in here. I hope everyone is planning to make your plans on April 8th for the solar eclipse, but it's when the snakes come out. It's the same thing. There's this time dilation.
it does. It feels really
It
strange.
does feel
Even
weird.
birds and everything stop. They
Mm,
make no noise. Everything goes quiet. It's really
yeah.
odd. Really odd. Yeah.
So, and I know there's others, and I'm thinking of specific, hey, Gilbert, how you doing? But there's those of us who we grew up in that time. And, I don't know if I'd want to actually go through the experience that I went through in today's world, because the vibe and the energy was just so much different.
Yeah.
But the point is, as I look back on all these experiences now, never had a bad trip, never had, um, any type of flashback. but I can remember them. And then I'm seeing this now, and it's going interesting because I'm seeing it from conscious point of view.
Yeah, when I was in a car accident, that happened to me. Everything went in slow
Slow.
motion.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me on multiple occasions. But yeah, when you just said that, I was like, you're right. I have done that too, but in weird but it obviously takes a certain level of consciousness, like when you're in a car accident or something, because something shifts in the consciousness and then it allows you to perceive time differently and slow it down. That's very interesting because
Well, I had the same experience when the meningitis and Lyme disease hit all at the same. In fact, I was at the Four Queens in Las Vegas, and this fugue just came over me, and it was weird because I didn't know how sick I really was, but I was really sick, high fever in my brain, and but time would, and when people would talk to me, their voices would slow down like, and I am freaking out, I'm going,
yeah,
what's going on? And I'm trying to tell my partner, Peggy, and who's business partner, and Tom, and I'm saying, you guys, what's wrong with you?
right.
And it was weird. It was really
I bet
strange.
it was.
Then I went into a freaking coma.
That's what I mean. Your
Yeah,
consciousness state
yeah,
was transferring to another level of
yeah,
consciousness.
yeah.
That's all it is, I think. It's your vibration. Where you can take your consciousness to is what you're going to experience.
Yeah, it's really odd, and so, you get into this whole thing of the spirit and the perception of consciousness and mind and time,
Yeah.
and it's strange. Who in the chat room, y'all ever had similar type of things? Just curious if you
Yeah, I was
hadn't,
looking
let me
too.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
I think a lot of people do experience the car accident thing, things get
yeah,
slow. I think a lot of people have experienced that. I know I'm not alone with that because I've heard people. And it was really weird. I could do it when I was playing softball too.
interesting, very
Yeah, I could slow the
interesting.
ball down. They whenever we were in trouble with heavy hitters, they'd always put me outfield because I could catch anything. And it's because I could slow it down. I had plenty of time to
I
get to the
believe
ball.
that. I believe that.
I did.
Yeah, when I was hit by a car, I was
Oh, they're all
15.
saying yes and no. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
y'all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yep, they're all
We,
saying yes.
we appreciate y'all's participation.
Yes, we love it.
Yeah. But it is true. I remember because it was a blink of an eye, but holy crap,
Yeah,
Gogo says, "Do you think time flows in dreams?" Yes, it
yeah.
does. It
Mhm.
does.
It
And
doesn't
that's
mind.
it does. It
Yeah,
it's so odd. And I mean, we're controlled by time. The
yeah,
masters say that if you can discipline your thought, that each of us have the ability to slow time down to where it is merely the moment now.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that disciplined yet, but
No,
because
I think you are. I think you are. And that's how you tap into these higher realms of consciousness on a whim. You can do it
you're like the
immediately.
fourth person that has said that in the last
Yes,
couple of
you know
days.
how. That's all it
Yeah.
takes. And you know how. Once you can learn
Get
how
out
to
of my
get
head, man.
in, yeah, you get
Yeah.
it. And your time alters immediately when you're in those presences. You're just different place. Yeah.
We're getting Lynn and I are booking some time with Thomas John. Do you know who Thomas John is?
Uh-uh.
Probably one of the most amazing mediums and psychics I've ever come across. And so we're booking some time with him because the ability that we have, and he says this, that we all have the ability to be mediums.
Absolutely.
Each and every one of us have the ability to get ourselves to where we can feel the impressions of those who we love, those who are for us, and sometimes those that are against us.
Share a story with you.
Okay,
When
please.
I was 12 years old, one of my teachers from my junior high invited me and a bunch of friends to go have a sleepover weekend at her house, and she was going to tell us about Buddhism because we were interested. Well, it went into a let's see who has ability kind of situation. And I
Ooh,
wondered, yeah, it was very interesting. And I was brought through several tests, and all of them I passed.
I'm curious, were you going through puberty then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And uh, the 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 most amazing one to me was I was able to channel my one of my best friend's sister who had been deceased, and she was gone for many years. I think five already, 5 or 7 years. And when you're 11 or 12 years old, that's a long time. So she hadn't seen her in a long time, and they asked if I would try to entertain channeling her sister through me. So I was like, whatever, I don't even know what that is, but sure, why not? So I did it. And I was still present, but I gave permission for her to use my body to talk to her. And then I said, and then when you're done, we're done. There's no more allowed, but just for this time, I'll allow you to speak through me. And it came through so strong, she couldn't see me anymore.
Hmm.
She couldn't see me. I was gone. She couldn't see me. She was holding my face and telling me how brown my eyes were, which they're green. She was telling me how all my fingernails were when I bit them down to the quick. It wasn't me. She was seeing her sister, and she was hearing her sister's voice through me speaking to her. And I would just hear the information and
Yeah.
tell her what she was saying. And I didn't know any of this information, which was interesting to me. But the biggest part of it was it was so powerful that she couldn't even see me.
Interesting. Now,
Yeah.
did you stop using that gift? I mean, and it's actually it's an ability that we all
Yeah, I can
have, but
still do it. When I talk to you a lot of times, Wayne, I'm channeling. I can do it consciously. I don't
yeah,
need to
okay.
go into trance. So
Yeah,
many of the times I'm just listening to my higher self, because
yeah.
mainly that's my only source is I use my own internal guidance system. But when like sometimes I hear from Brian, I don't pursue it or really try too much. I just let the natural flow of the universe. If something wants to talk, it usually comes in and does whatever. But I'm very selective on like I have a ball cap. It's like I don't want to be bothered right now. So when I
Hmm.
say no, it's straight up no. There's no question about it. So we all do this. We do this. A lot of people are channeling when they're getting thoughts that they didn't really know where it came from, but they're just thoughts in your own head with your own voice. That's a form of channeling. Like you said, we're just
Thomas
us. We
Thomas
literally
sees
were.
he sees the dead people. I mean,
I
he
did too.
literally sees them.
Yeah.
He had a series that was on. It was really interesting because it was like a rideshare psychic. And what he did is that he would pick people up on a rideshare.
Mhm.
And when they would get into his car, he would greet them and they would say, "How are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I talk to dead people." Now
Yeah.
that's a shock if your rideshare driver is telling you that. In any case, in every case, the stories were remarkable. The fact that they're all around us. Now, it was really interesting. A couple people tried to get in, and he said, no. He says,
No,
you can't
no,
get in.
no.
And they looked at him, and he said, in fact, he says, you need to get away from me.
Right.
He later said what he saw was that not all of us are the same. There's some of us who have, as Thomas said, there are they're not of us. Also, and so Lynn and I have experienced some very interesting things living as man and wife for as many years that we had. When we were in Colorado, there would be a smell of a cigar, and I could smell it in the hallway. And the first time it happened, I told Lynn, I said, is someone smoking around here? And and she said no. And when I told her, well, come to find out, her dad smoked cigars.
Yep.
Um, we both have smelt her mother's perfume,
Yep.
which, and now Lynn wants to, again, with her reading with Thomas, is, because she's convinced that her mother is here more often than not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, they do
you
that.
look like you have, go ahead, hon.
My grandma's been around. Brian comes around once in a while, and I know the energies. And like you said, when there's something that comes in that doesn't feel like it is of us, straight up, no, get out, or I'll
Oh,
kick you.
he was adamant. He's
Yeah,
a he just said that he said what was around him, he said, I didn't want near me.
that's right. You can feel it.
Yeah,
Trust your guts, guys.
apparently.
If you get a discerning, like, ooh, I don't like this energy, don't even entertain it. Just get rid of it. Tell it, no, you will not get near me. Leave now, or I will contend with you and mean it.
Funniest thing in
Leave.
one of the stories we were watching, a young woman got into his car and she she was a skeptic and he starts saying, he says, your grandfather's sitting next to you. She's like, what? And he said, and you could see that he was perplexed in his face. And she's looking at him, and her boyfriend is looking at him, and he said, I really don't know how to say this. And she's sitting there, but he says, he says, okay. He says, I see your grandfather sitting in next to you in bra and panties. And she just started crying and laughing at the same time. She said, well, he was a cross dresser.
Oh my God.
Now, so we're going, wait a minute.
Oh,
So the other side is more, I think so many of us are going to be shocked because it's a lot like here. This is why certain humans will haunt certain homes because they're directly attached to this and they are living in the home.
yeah. Think
They've
about
already
it.
passed over.
It's their creation, though. They're
Yeah,
attaching to the
exactly.
creations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the bra and the
Yeah.
panty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
attached.
and then that I
Yeah.
just I was laughing. I went,
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
there was one woman she lost her son, and the dad was there too. Cystic fibrosis,
Oh,
and he was a beautiful young man, and when she got in and the father got in immediately when he says, I just got to tell you, he says, your son's with you. Well, her husband almost was like he was ready to punch him out. Like, what kind of con's going on here?
yeah.
And he said, listen, he said, I see dead people and I hear them. And he said, your son told me to tell you that you would know it's me. He says, Mom, there's no video games over here. Well, she just broke down
Yep.
because that's what he had cystic fibrosis. He couldn't do anything else.
Yeah. So we played
Yeah.
a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he said that they don't have that over there.
Yeah.
And then the father says, so what does he have? And Thomas said, he said to tell you, I have grandpa here.
Oh,
So this
yeah.
is implying that we carry over this
Memory.
parent, if it's a memory or if it's because my question, and it's not a question, it's an observation. So the divine consciousness is, I think, two things primarily. One, the ability to experience.
Yes.
Consciousness thrives on that.
Yes.
But once the experience is experienced, then the thing about consciousness is the memory.
Yes.
Now, there was a recent study in Psychology Today, and this was shocking, that it said by the time you're 60, you've already forgotten 80% of all your memories.
But it's stored in the causal
We
emotion
yeah, the Akashic record we that
body. Yeah.
because you think about that, if we are defined by our experience,
Mhm.
and that's the trap. That's how we like our memories, and if you rely on your memories too much, you get stuck in the past.
Yeah.
It does it holds you back from moving forth into the future. But it was just interesting to see that they listening to them, he said that someone asked him, they said, and we're going to attend a webinar here in a couple of weeks with him. And he said that the one thing he said is that many of us will stay here. But he said there are those who this next realm we go into cannot hold. And he says they're the ones that ascend into the realms that he said you'll see it on the other side. He said you literally look up and you'll see this higher realm. So anyway, I
Yeah,
digress.
that's where I'm going. That's what my serpent
There we
dream
go.
is about.
It's
Literally.
like,
Well, that was
yeah.
the serpent dream. I don't think you get out until you've been through some type of initiation. And you getting the white stone for the console and me going to get my crystal, those are another initiations to get out of
Oh,
the construct.
thank
You
you.
got there. So you're going out. I'm going out. Many of this group is going out
I think
because
many of
they've
us
gone
are.
through their initiations,
Yeah.
and you know when you have them because they're monumental. Like the dream of you with the white stone,
Hmm.
Wayne.
That was a
That's
freaking
talked
vision.
about. A lot of people have talked about that.
So you
You
know what he
see
said was one of the
stone.
signs? How you
Huh,
know that you won't be stuck in ghost land, I guess.
huh.
He says he says it's you, and this is what started this because and there was a lot behind it, but he said if you have the ability when you're hurt to immediately forgive,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
said you've made it.
yeah. Because when you
Yeah.
realize that that is an expression of a part of you
Yeah.
that you're dealing with, and or maybe you're
Yeah.
letting them deal with that part of themselves, but there's an agreement between you. Once you start to see things on a bigger way, you can't blame anybody else for your reality but you. And that's the part of me that's it's like God, grand observers design. You're
Yeah.
the observer and you're the creator at the same time. You're both. And
It's like
that
when
is an amazing thing.
my dad when he passed, I was telling him that I suddenly felt tired and I laid down on the couch. And the next thing I know, in my mind, I was like standing. I couldn't see anything. It was in my mind, but it was very defined. And I'm standing here and I hear this voice says, "Do you have a charge?" And I saw my dad.
Yep.
He was standing over there on the other side.
Yep.
And I remembered and I spoke this out. I said, I have no charge.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm back in Colorado, back in the house.
Yep.
And yeah, I
That's a
never felt my
huge,
dad
it's
after that.
so huge. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he was freed.
yeah,
Because that was his own
yeah.
consciousness punishing him for bad behavior. But when you released him of it, he could literally take the
I think
responsibility.
I
But
think
no, it
so.
was okay. Yeah, you did something very
Yeah,
powerful that day,
yeah,
Wayne. That was huge. And what
yeah.
if that was a soul fractal of your own self?
True.
And that's what I looked at when you did that. I was like, wow, you just forgave part of your own self. This is because this goes way back. When you go through a spiritual, like that type of a initiation, and you're able to just say, there is no charge. I forgive you all of it. That
It's
is a
interesting you're talking on this because this is what is driving a lot of this is that the fact that many of us in this community, we have suffered trauma
yes.
and, physical trauma,
Yeah.
mental trauma, spiritual trauma.
Yes.
And I'm beginning to think, Trina, that we set these tests up before we come in here. I
Yeah.
can't, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I sense. We're
I think
testing
so.
ourselves.
But I think once you realize that all this is going on, they can't screw with you anymore.
What are they going
This
to
is
do? Yeah.
just like, you
Like,
know, you're like,
like
oh,
what? What?
there's a demon standing in the closet. Oh, that's a part of myself. You better run because I'm here to kick your ass too. You know, it's funny. It's
I
funny.
told you about that
Like,
encounter that one told me, and I said, he said, I remember there's, and I said, you are one ugly son of a bitch. And he said, you're even uglier.
right. But
I
when you
went,
get real close to
okay,
me, yeah.
fine, fine.
Yeah, it's so funny when you realize
Oh,
how powerful that you actually are and that you're down here playing a game and a simulation for your own benefit, then you can do whatever you want. You
yeah, and
can
I just
say, you
marvel at
can
so
go.
many you as I look in the people in the chat, and many of you I know, and but so many of us have experienced this trauma
Yeah.
of different
Yeah.
various levels and kinds. But the
Yes.
amazing thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we're here. As I said
Yes.
yesterday, we're not surviving, we're thriving on this. And I often, and when I get in these type of places in my spirit, I so often feel, and Brian,
Me too. A
you
lot.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's interesting because I am convinced as well is that, you know, we are the focus of many on the other side.
Yes. And it's so funny. He's in us
Yeah,
still.
yeah, he is.
We're experiencing and he's getting the benefit from our experience because we're connected through the cell phone. He knows. Remember, Wayne, I told you when he passed, the first thing that he showed me was he was a beautiful ball of moving light energy, and his voice was laughing. And he said, I am everything. And when he said everything, he shot billions of fractals of himself in all different directions. And he laughed, and the laughter was going in all the directions at the same time. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever
I can see
experienced.
that. I
He
can
was
see that.
laughing. He was like,
Yeah.
at first it was a light show. I thought I was at a concert. And then he goes, and then I realized I had left my body. He goes, and then that's when things started to come alive for me. And he goes, Trina, it's so much bigger than you thought. He said, you're
Yeah.
so right. He said, you were right. He said, but it's so much bigger than you ever thought. And I was like, I knew what he meant when he said that. And then that's when he showed me, I am everything. And I could feel that in me. And then he told me, he says, your light here is so beautiful. Because I knew there was a part of me that never left. And
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
confirmed it. I am so
Yeah.
grateful for him. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah. Um,
powerful. Yeah.
I'm just reading.
I
It's
am everything.
yeah.
I can't ever get that. Ever, ever. That will be etched in my brain to remember what I am. I am everything.
I
And
am
everyone else
everything.
is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are
And there's
too.
so many that I think that in that we've had the honor, and there I don't believe that anything has just been by coincidence or chance. Yeah, I just don't see it that way. I see that
Mhm.
we're drawn to one another.
It's like what
Um,
Josh said. You created me and I created you. We
yeah,
created
yeah.
each other. We're in this crazy agreement to do this together as pieces of ourselves. I
That's
couldn't be this close to you if you weren't a part of me already. It just makes so much sense to me. It just,
mm-hmm.
it's you guys, this soul tribe, you are part of my body. You literally are part of me. What a gift. Thank you all. Here in
See,
my cell phone.
it's y'all's fault,
Yep.
not mine. Not
Yep.
mine.
Yep. It
But
is.
it's true.
It
It
is.
is true.
It
And
is true.
when Josh was writing, channeling that, that was because I've got this recall. So it always was amazed me was in the 17th chapter of John, Jesus uses those same words. He says, Father, you are in me as I am in you, and you, and that I am in you as you are in me, and we are as one. And he
Yeah.
says, now we bring these into us, and they are now us, we are now them. And so when I was reading this yesterday, the letter, I mean, it was one of those things that I meditated on because those words were very deep, you know. So if Jesus was in God and God was in Jesus and now we are in Jesus and that means that then God is in us.
Remember,
In
Wayne?
essence, exactly what you said is
Wayne.
that. What?
Remember, he kept telling me over and over again when you said, "What do you think Jesus is?" I says, "He always tells me he is us.
That's
He
what he
is us.
said.
He's
Yeah,
us. He's us.
yeah.
He's us." I was
And
like,
we are him.
"Okay, yeah, yeah."
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
like he's
yeah.
it. It's he's us. We're it, and he's God and God's us, and it's all the same shit.
It's like
But
in
guess
excess says, you know, we're all the devil inside.
yes,
I
he
mean,
told me
it
you
is
don't get
true.
to get just the good stuff too. You're all of it, baby. I was like,
We
oh,
really are.
shoot,
I mean,
I
you
am
know,
all of it. Oh yeah, you're all of it. You don't get to pick. You got to be all of
we're
it if you're
both
going to be
pure
happy.
and putrefied at the same time. I
And
mean,
those are just different areas of consciousness
it
that you're
is.
existing in your energy system, which is your chakra system. So if you're totally root bound, primal, red all the time, you're going to be that type of an expression. But if you're more heart centered and you're staying in those centers more, you're going to be a vision and an expression more of that. If you're more mental and you're always in your head and you're a thinker, you're going to be the philosophers. You're going to be, that's what you are going to be the expression of. You get to pick every single day when you wake up where you want to live. And that's based
Hmm.
on what you're perceiving, and that's based on what you've chosen to be. So you get to move through whatever you want to. You can go, I get to go play Lilith any day I want to, and I
Exactly.
can go play Athena any day I want to. I get to be both.
And Rick, you can't, don't bogart that. I'm just telling Rick in the chat room. But it's
Okay.
true. It is
Yeah.
true. I mean,
Yeah.
it is the expression. We Garth Brooks had that song, The Dance, you
I
know,
love that song.
and you
Beautiful.
know, and it represents so well what we really do here. We're
Yeah.
in this amazing dance with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
things you think are going to destroy you were actually one of your greatest gifts because it released you to the next opportunity of the grand observer's design that you've created for yourself. That's powerful.
And it is, and within that,
Hmm.
for myself, I was one of these individuals that just carried the guilt syndrome, you know, and unfortunately, it's like the reason why I don't carry hate or anger is that it weighs me down. I can't
Yes,
afford it.
right.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah, so
Um,
much easier to let it go because then it goes. And then you, like you
yeah.
said, you feel lighter and you feel whole because it's like uh, those, those those unhealed traumas, I see them like putting holes in the auric field. And I see some
Mm,
people, they look like Swiss cheese, and then others just have big holes coming out of the shoulders or hearts or back of the neck or whatever. But those regrets and the negative traumas, when you realize you really must have had responsibility in creating it, and you would have only done that if you knew how strong you were that you would overcome it. So
oh yeah.
when you can start, yeah, when you can start to get there, you can start to close those holes in your auric field and heal that trauma and release it and let it go and forgive it. And that only heals you.
I
It
remember
heals you.
when I was able. So a lot of people I know hold on to physical possessions. We all have our little things that we have, but I remember and it was a lesson, because of the sickness that I had. Then there was a brief period of time where I was homeless. I had lost all my physical possessions. And it's amazing because that experience was my baptism, so to speak, in understanding how the attachments we put upon ourselves.
Yes.
And so when I didn't have anything, it was amazing because instead of complaining, I became more determined to rebuild it, and I did. What
Yes.
I had lost, that took me decades, it was quite amazing because within a year I had it all back.
Restored.
Yeah, back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
it
the
just,
power. Yeah.
yeah,
They say too, the really successful ones lose everything over and over again. Here, done it.
yeah. Yeah.
It's the way it goes. And then you recreate yourself again, and then you recreate yourself again. And that is a gift. It's a gift because you get to live multiple lifetimes in one lifetime versus just one. I see
Bingo.
every
We're
one
going
of
to
them.
talk. I'll be
Yeah,
talking on that Friday on my 25th thousandth day on this planet.
so
Um,
amazing.
so I love it. Eric says, I came in with nothing and I leave with nothing. Well, that's not
No,
actually true, Eric.
yeah.
Yeah, you actually are
Mm-mm.
going to leave with a lot more than what you came in
Wisdom,
with. Yeah.
knowledge,
Yeah. But I understand
experience.
what you're saying is
Me
the
too.
body.
Me
Yeah. Yeah.
The body's done, all the shit done, all the cars and all the clothes and books and
It's
stuff,
like,
that's all gone.
geez,
But
you
the
know,
consciousness,
when we were talking about this now, I'm drawn back to this dream. I was out in California. I was living out there at the time, but I had this dream recurring all the time where I was flying and two things were happening. It was that either there were these power lines that were above me and I couldn't figure out how to get through them, or there were individuals who were holding onto my ankle trying to pull me down. And I now know because I saw what was happening at the time. But yeah, when you were talking about that, I said, that's kind of what the thing is. I was doing the dishes in that moment of the now. And because I sing, and, Lynn will tell you, I sing all the time. But something spoke inside of me and says, so when you cross over, are you willing to give up your love for music? And I remember in my head, I instantaneously said, well, I don't know what I was doing before, but I think I can do just fine without it.
it's so funny. Right there, that's a trap because there is no loss of music because your
Mm-mm.
soul makes its
Is
own
music.
song. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are music. So I don't know how they're going to say you're going to lose something that you are because this
It's
you
like,
are that. You're
I
a
can see
sound
Barry
with a voice.
Manilow. I am music.
You are. You really are.
And I
You,
like Barry Manilow.
yeah, we are music. Our soul is a sound. It's a song.
Oh, oh,
And they're
ain't
all
that the
music.
truth?
Yeah.
So, Trina, I asked the question on the residual question, kind of tells you how long you're going to be here. When you see Trina in the future, what do you see?
I see two opportunities.
Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah. I see one where I am old, and I see one where I'm not here too much longer past 55. So I've seen
Int
both. And it depends on this environment, I think is going to determine which one I choose.
hmm,
So I've
interesting.
seen two potentials. Yeah.
It's
And I've
odd.
already and I've already bypassed two exit points that I could have left, and I
Now, you
stayed.
see and I think many of us, I think if you've had a
Yeah.
near-death experience
Yeah.
or those close calls, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, many different exit points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they're telling you you're done in 10 days, you're dying. So yeah, you contemplate, yeah, it goes there. The brain and
Yeah.
the body knows. When the body starts shutting down, as you know, with the meningitis, weird things start happening. Real weird things start happening.
It's
Yeah.
dark over there, folks. It's dark. But there is the light within the darkness. I mean, it's interesting because as I look back at all these experiences, I don't recall number one, ever being afraid. Two, they say it's cold on the other side, but I don't know that the time that I was closest to death, I felt a warmth. I mean, I felt this, it was
I
almost
if
like a
I felt
sleep.
a wave of peace that came
Yeah.
over me. That was just like, and that's when they were like, you can go now, or you can decide to stay. And I was
Yeah.
like, I wasn't dead though. This was happening to me while I was semi-conscious, but my organs were shutting down. I was in renal failure, so it was
Yeah.
pretty brutal. But I pulled through it, and they didn't think I would, but I did. So, but I had to make a choice at that time because they literally said it's okay, and they wrapped me in a warm, peaceful blanket of energy,
It's
and it was just
interesting.
like, oh, thank you. And they were like, you can stay or you can go, and I was like, I didn't want to come. I didn't want to. I know I fought to come back here. I and then they and then I had the memory of when I was talking with the Lord, and he was like, "You know how many beings wanted to be here for this one? Because this one you're going to learn a lot." This, I
Hmm.
guess, apparently this timeline that we're in, guys, billions of souls wanted to participate in it, but only certain souls were allowed to enter because we're at a
Yeah.
closing of a cycle. And when you're in these grand closures of cycles, I guess it's a big deal who gets to come in on planet. So as bright of the stars that we have here shining their beautiful, brilliant light, we have the darkest of the demonic forces trying to control and enslave and capture the souls of humanity to get them into a new cycle. So this is game on, baby. We are in the thick of it. This is an intense timeline to be sitting in. So when I thought about that, I thought about I might be really disappointed at myself if I give up too early. So I made that conscious choice. It's like, yeah, I'm not done yet. We'll do this. And that's when
Something
I,
I've learned about myself is that I actually have a living demon in me.
Mhm,
I
we
do.
all do.
And I
Everyone
have
does.
a very
You don't,
loving,
you don't have to. You're connected to the
angel.
root
Yeah. I
chakra.
mean, when it gets out, it changes personality and the whole bit. Lynn has seen it.
That's
And
why I say I embrace my bitch, Wayne. Yeah, I know who she
embrace your
is.
bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
when I need her to protect me, that's who I call upon. There's no mercy with her. She will defend me. And that's a part of me. Just like Beyonce, you see her take on Sasha Fierce. We
yeah.
all have these personalities inside of you. Whether or not you acknowledge it is irrelevant. You are an antenna and you can connect to whatever you want. So, bottom line is be responsible for that which you connect to, and don't let that demon have a party in your body unless you know how to make sure you can control these energies that would love to cause some harm and do some things out of justice, out of whatever you think. You're going to be accountable for everything you do here, everything you create, everything you do. You will be accountable, but who cares? You're
You
learning,
know,
you're
I've
creating, you're experiencing, and you are that powerful.
I've been in situations where I've had to life, helping other people, and I have seen this, and I've been told, and in situations there's this other thing, this other consciousness that takes over, and you can, for instance, in a situation where there was, someone was being robbed, literally. I simply said in a voice, I can't do it here, but it was so, as one woman was saying, she said, when you said stop to the guy that had the gun, and she said, you
Ground
don't
shift.
understand. She said, yeah, she said something. She said that wasn't normal. And
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I've done that a
you
couple
know,
times in my life, Wayne, protecting my brother one time from bad situation going on at home. I threw a 6'2" man through a wall and he landed in the next bedroom.
see that.
There's no way I could have had that power at 10.
Oh, I can
No way.
see that.
Two walls, not one, two. That's supernatural
Don't
power.
mess with mama.
Right. But I was like, no, and those are the times when I say my embracing my bitch comes to life. I've never needed to use it unless defending my own physical, like to not die, or defending another person I thought might die. So that's the only times I've
That's what
witnessed that.
gods do and goddesses. We
Yeah.
have this,
Yeah.
it's a part of us. And when I first discovered this power that was within me, at first it was kind of weird because, if you don't learn how to control it, it will control you.
I accidentally had that come over me one time with my child, and I said, just stay away. And I just put my hand out and barely touched her, and she launched partially across the room. And then she was crying. I was like,
Boom.
I'm so sorry. I did not even mean to do that. I didn't even. She goes, I know. What the
Like a
heck,
what?
mom? Freaking out on me. No, you guys really do have this kind of stuff. And you
Oh.
see moms ripping car doors off when there's a car accident, their kids trapped in there.
Susie Q says there's a biker girl inside of me. That's what I'm talking about, you
Right,
know?
right,
Susie, I
right.
can see you, and I think leather looks really good on you. I mean, that's all I
Yeah,
got to say.
yeah. And Wayne, another time that power came over me was when I took on the school bully when I was in sixth grade. He was
Yeah,
so easy
yeah.
for me to take down. It was kind of hilarious. And the teachers were dying laughing. They're like, we can't believe how bad you whooped that boy. And it was like, I didn't even try. I was like, it was easy. He deserved it. He has punched my friends 24 times, and I will not handle it one more day. One more
I
day.
love it.
Yeah.
Well,
And I handled
dear,
it fully.
another
I just,
hour is come and
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. We send you much love. Keep yourselves warm if you're up here. If you're down in the outback, down there in the other side of the world, hey, surf's up. Make sure to wear the the sunscreen. Well, don't do that because all you're doing is putting chemicals. Just use good. Hey, Gaia, took my bullies. Gaia says the same thing. Now I could see that in you too. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard someone saying the other day they were talking about the bully thing and how, they don't want to teach their kid to be the bully. They want to teach their kid and just take them to another school, run from the bully. And, because then, if you become the bully, I was like, dude, I handled that bully in one day and I didn't become a bully. But all the other bullies knew if they did it too, I'd get them next. It
Like
stopped the
that
bullying.
3-year-old little girl,
It stopped bullying in the whole school. Then another one came in junior high, same thing. I took
same
him
thing.
straight on and ended it. Then there was
That's
no more
it.
bully again. No more bully. He
Hey,
still
if the
wishes he
monster is going to come at you, kick its
had first.
ass.
Right.
All
You
right,
know?
folks, we got to go. I got things and people knocking on my door over here.
Oh boy.
So, all right, everybody, much love to y'all. Thank
Love
you
you
for
all.
all you in the chat room.
Yeah.
Susie says it's cold out here. Hey, I know that. K-Town, how are you doing? Tennessee is covered in snow. That has to be
Right on.
beautiful. I
Oh,
lived
I bet
in
it is.
lived in Knoxville. We got a blizzard in there one time. Paul Joe says bullies don't know who they're messing. Or they. Okay. All right, folks. We
Love you
got to
guys.
go. All right. Much love to everyone. We